Welcome back to FedBiz Exchange. I'm Michelle Brown, your coach and your mentor. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to win government staffing contracts with no money. Most of the time when we think of staffing, regardless of the industry, we think, I need thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to be available. I'm going to show you how to self-fund with the government's money your staffing contracts. It does not matter which industry you're in for staffing. So listen up, let's get into it. Before we get started, real quick, I want to remind you that when you're doing not just your staffing contracts, but your service contracts, when you're bidding on service contracts, which would include staffing, you need to make sure that you understand how to price your service contracts. That means there are a lot of things you need to consider. So click on the link in the comment section and get my service bid pricing template. It will help you to determine pricing and everything you should include, and it will also help you to calculate your profit, which is very, very important. You don't want to underbid, but you also don't want to overbid. So you want to be right in the middle so that you can win, but you want to make some good money, because what I'm about to talk to you about, you need to be ready to put away profit. You need to manage your money very carefully, but you can't do that if you don't watch what you're billing the government for and what you're keeping for yourself. So click on the link in the comment section and get the service bid pricing template. Also, most important, don't forget about Ask MichelleB, and don't forget to subscribe. So the first thing you want to remember with your service contracts, specifically your staffing contracts, is the Prompt Payment Act. I know staffing clients that have been paid within 3 to 5 business days. Now, of course, that's after you invoice, but remember, the point is that as soon as you invoice, the contracting officer is obligated to review your invoice for correctness and pay you. Usually that happens very quickly, especially with staffing. And especially with staffing, because usually your invoice is one that you create yourself. They just want you to have specific things on there, but you create the invoice and you make sure it's correct. Number 2, COs are required to make contracts financially easier for small businesses, meaning why are they trying to only pay you every 30 days? It's because sometimes they just don't want to do the work. But it doesn't have to be that way, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But by law, especially the updates to the Prompt Payment Act for small businesses, they are supposed to make sure that you get paid quickly and timely. Obama did that because he really needed the country to help small businesses create more jobs. He knew that small businesses were not going to work with the government if they could not collect money very quickly. That's how you keep growing. You collect your invoices, you have good cash flow. It's all about cash flow. So the third thing is you have 4 to 5 year staffing contract awards. Most people don't realize that once you win, you could actually win for 4 years. So say you have 3 or 4 staffing contracts for 4 to 5 years. That's some pretty good strategic planning. So that could happen to you, even with your first contract. Why is that important? It's important because, number one, you want to win, but you want to price things correctly. You also want to make sure you get paid timely. That means you have to invoice properly. You have to talk with the contracting officers. But lastly, if you win a contract and it is 30-day payment terms, you can change that. That's right. You can change that. Remember I said the COs are required to make contracts financially easier for you as a small business. You can ask them to take that 30-day payment term and turn it into bi-weekly or weekly even. Yep, you sure can. So you've spoken to the contracting officer. They tried to give you a 30-day invoicing on your contract, but you spoke to them and asked them, can they change it to bi-weekly or weekly? They changed it to bi-weekly. Weekly would be outstanding, but bi-weekly is great. They've changed the payment terms. That means you can submit an invoice every 2 weeks, bi-weekly. When you hire your staff to work for the government, remember, they work for you. Even though you allow them to work for the government, that staff works for you. So, because they work for you and not the government, you let them know that they will be paid in their 3rd week, 2 weeks in the hole. This is what they do in corporate America all of the time. I remember when I worked in corporate America, if I started a new job, I didn't get paid until my 3rd week of working for that company. It's nothing unusual. Small companies like yours and companies that are just starting need to think like this. Corporations use everybody's resources. They use their employees' resources, they use their suppliers' resources, and you need to do the same thing. As long as you pay people timely, there's nothing wrong with this. So your staff understands when they come in, they will not be paid for 2 weeks because payroll is cut off in the 3rd week. So there you have it. You have your full payroll for 2 weeks, whether you have 1 employee or 5. Your profit is probably included in there. So if I were you, I wouldn't touch the profit until everything is paid. Make sure that you price your contracts that include your payroll and all of those things. You need to make sure. That's why I want you to get the service bid pricing template. If you manage your money properly, then you can continue to build up that, what I call, war chest for your service and your staffing contracts. You put away profits weekly once you make sure you understand where your money is going and what you're doing to make sure you have payroll. Now, there's nothing wrong with you after that taking your contract that you won to a lender to get a line of credit. Never, ever use invoice factoring. Never. Because that's a whole nother story, but never use it. Those people are not honest anymore. I used to support it, but I don't like banks either, but they're the lesser of 2 evils. So take your $1.2 million contract or your $500,000 contract and get a line of credit. You will be able to show them that you've already made 2 payrolls. And lastly, learn how to use QuickBooks. Understand your finances. And if you need to, hire a bookkeeper or manage, or someone to manage your finances monthly. But you still need to understand what's going on with your money. You can never build wealth without understanding what's going on with your money.